So let's continue with our example 4.1. We were just covering the rental amount. I just want to point your attention to the factory supervisor wage. Bullet number 2, the factory supervisor's wage amounts to 600 per week. And we know that for a month, 600 times 4 will give us 2,400. On bullet one, on the first bullet, it is expected that the company will produce and sell 200 units. So the calculation is quite easy. Remember that 600 rand for the material multiply by 200 units, which would provide us a total sum of 120,000. So for the direct material, 120,000. And this I'm doing at the top of my head because it is quite clear that you remember you need to get the three musketeers when it comes to manufacturing, right? Direct material, direct labor, manufacturing overhead. Direct material, direct labor, manufacturing overhead. And you would also look at non-manufacturing costs, which will include the admin cost, selling, marketing, and distribution. All those will be non-manufacturing. All right. So when we're looking at the commission on bullet number 4, it says that the commission of 500 is paid to each for each JSS sold by a representative. A commission that is paid by a representative, all units are sold in the same month during which they are produced. So it's quite clear that 200 units that will be produced in that particular month multiply in that particular month, obviously the month of March. Look at the title there, the month of March. So but that commission goes to a sales representative. This speaks about uh, um, marketing cost, which is non-manufacturing. Advertising cost relating to marketing as well. It amounts to 4,500 per month, and as you can see, this is also non-manufacturing. So everything that I am putting in yellow, not necessarily in yellow, but uh, let's go to bullet number 6. There is one assistant employed in the administrative side of the building. Since embarking on the GSS product, her workload has increased considerably. So it has increased by 20%. It was 5,000. 20% of 5,000 is 1,000. So it has gone to 6,000. So we can see that increase of 1,000 rands. Okay. That will be related to the manufacturing of JSS product. Sorry, JSS product. One 5-liter container of wood polish is used to treat roughly 20 units. We have 200 units. 200 units divided by 20 will give us 10. We need 10 5-liter container of wood polish, right? What is the price of the wood polish? 300. So 10 multiplied by 300 is 3,000. At the top of my head, as you can see, these are easy if you understand what you're looking for. And these are indirect costs, right? There's some indirect cost, there's some non-manufacturing cost that we are tracing here. Glue and nails. We know glue and nails is manufacturing, right? But it is not directly uh, uh, um, traceable to every unit of GSS, right? So therefore, we would understand that this is indirect cost, it is overhead cost, right? So therefore, glue and nails, which cost roughly 80 rand per 10 unit of per 10 unit of JSS produced. We have 200 and that needs to be produced, right? 200 divided by 10, 20. So we need 20 uh, um, boxes of glue and L, whatever it is. 20 multiplied by 80 would give us 160, right? So at the top of my head, I can do these calculations, and I want you to be able to do them. And the solution to this is here, right? So the solution on page 103, well detailed. Whatever we've done here is here. Direct material, the amount that we found is there. Direct labor, 200 units, 400 per unit is 80,000. And now we begin with the indirect material, ID, indirect material, manufacturing overhead. Every single thing that we've been saying, the solution is provided here. So I'm asking you to practice this by yourself to see if you get the total manufacturing overhead, because that's where you need to get right to the total manufacturing overhead. Let me just touch again two last things is the insurance cost. The insurance cost, we are told that prior to starting the actual project, the short-term insurance premium against fire and theft amounted to 9,600. All right. We are told that. We are told that. With the addition of the factory, the annual premium was subsequently raised to 16,800. Obviously, this is yearly. Therefore, the difference between 16,800 and 9,600 that was prior the project will give us 7,200, right? And that's why we need to divide this by 12 because we want to find just for a month, right? And that's what gives us that 600 for insurance, right? And you can see for the insurance, when it comes to the insurance is 600. Everything is well explained. The quality control is 1,000 per month. So the total of the manufacturing overhead will be 19,100. So we're gonna now add the three musketeers, the 19,100 plus the 120,000 for direct material and 80,000 for the direct labor will give us a total manufacturing cost of 219,000, right? So that's how you get it. So practice this. We need also to calculate something else, the non-production or non-manufacturing costs, our admin, distribution, and selling costs. Remember those. And we were talking about them. So you need to go back again to the example and see everything, for example, the commission, for the advertising cost, everything that is not manufacturing, right? So as you can see, as per our discussion, we had the sales commissions, we had the advertising cost, and the final one would be the final bullet point, which talks about carriage on sales. Carriage is not manufacturing, it's about taking the product to put them in the hands of our customers. It has nothing whatsoever to do with the manufacturing, right? So we are told that it's 90 per GSS sold. We have 200, right? So a 90 times 200 will give us 18,000. So we have these three, which forms the non-manufacturing cost, and the total will be 122,000 122,500 for the total, right? So which we now can add to find the total cost that is involved for the particular product. Okay, so everything is well explained. Please practice in yourself, and then you have also this question. So now, before we go to this question, you can see that we didn't add the rental of the property with regards to the admin building because these things were prior the project. The cost was already incurred, so we don't need to add them. So for the indirect cost with regards to the rental, it was not added because it was prior the project and the project is not impacting this cost. That's why we are putting a 0 plus a 0 and 1,000 plus 0. Very important that you understand that. Remember, we have our total manufacturing cost and our total non-manufacturing cost. When we add them together, that's how we get that 342,000, right? That's 342,000 is the total cost that is included, that relates to this project. All right. I'm leaving question number 2 for you, and the solution for question number 2 is here. What I want you to do is to do question number 2 by yourself. Here is everything that you need to know for question number 2. It allows you to to categorize every single cost correctly. So you do that without looking at the solutions, but once you are done, then you can look at the solutions. This will be the best way for you to practice on cost. Have a quick read at fixed and variable cost. As you can understand, fixed cost remains fixed, variable cost uh, fluctuate, if I can put it that way, or react to the level of activity or the volume in production, right? So that's why we call it variable, because it will increase or decrease in relations to the volume of production, right? And that's where this table is quite helpful on this page, because the movement in production volume, when it goes up, the variable cost, the total variable cost increases, but per unit it's constant, right? Per unit it's constant. When the volume goes down, it's decrease, right? Because the volume has gone down. But for the fixed cost, it will be the opposite, right? The fixed cost, the total fixed cost is always constant, right? You pay 5,000 rand for rent, it remains a constant cost that you need to pay, right? But depending on the amount that you are producing, the unit cost will either increase or decrease. And there's a beautiful graph on a fixed cost. You can see the yellow line speaks about the fixed cost, right? And the variable cost increases in relations to the increase in volume, right? Very important. You need to understand this. And the total cost will be the addition of the variable and the fixed cost, just as depicted on the graph. Before we go to our last part, which will tackle the break-even analysis, which will be our final part for learning unit 4, you also have semi or semi-variable cost and semi-fixed cost. It means that costs that are somehow both and how they fluctuate. Please have a read. There is similarity, but there is also some nuances between the two, right? What this means simply that you would have certain costs that have a fixed component and a variable component. Semi-variable cost like the telephone charges or maintenance cost will fluctuate, but not in direct proportion to the volume created, right? So, for the semi-fixed cost, the fixed it is fixed over a certain range and can rise thereafter. So a good example will be, for example, when you're bringing in another supervisor, right? You pay a supervisor a certain amount, and once you bring another supervisor, that amount could double, right? So it is constant for a certain range, and then it can rise thereafter. Quickly coming back to what we were talking about, variable and fixed costs, this example 4.2 is very important. So dwell on example 4.2 to understand how the total fixed cost is reacting. As you can see, the total fixed cost is constant, but the unit cost, the fixed cost per unit, uh, um, fluctuate in relations to the unit produced, right? So very, very important. The more you're producing, the more you are reducing